Hope Thomas Logan Spencer felt the air drop out from under her the moment she looked at Finn's phone. She'd gone to see him under the shaky belief that they'd finally cracked the mystery of the baby's paternity and proven to Steffi and Liam that she meant only goodness, protection, truth. But instead, she found a DNA result. Secret, surreptitious, unrevealed until now, that Finn had ordered behind the scenes. The evidence showed something no one expected. A match, linking Luna and someone else. That completely upended the assumptions Hope had clung to. Finn had tried to protect Steffi, to shield all of them from scandal. But in doing so he had hidden truth. And now Hope was reeling. She stood in the hallway outside the piano room at Forrester Creations, hands trembling, legs weak. Brooke passed behind her, giving a cautious glance. Steffi was inside, fussing with fabrics, rehearsing lines for a public statement she believed would finally bring peace to the tangled children. Liam was off somewhere, railing against secrets, trying to defend Hope. But now Hope's secret threatened to bankrupt every fragile alliance. Finn arrived and tried to calm her, soft words, apologies, explanations. He insisted he only did it for Steffi, for the child's welfare, to stop lies, to end whispering rumors. But to Hope it felt like betrayal. Betrayal of her trust, of transparency, of everything she'd insisted she stood for. She sank to the floor, tears coming unbidden. How could she defend truth when the person she trusted concealed such a momentous secret? But that shock was dwarfed when, later that day, Deacon Sharp arrived at the Logan Spencer house. Grim and hollow-eyed, and confessed. He admitted that on a dark, drunken night at Il Giardino, after a bitter argument with Sheila, he had gone to bed with Luna. He confessed it not in confrontation, but under the weight of guilt and fear of further secrets. He told Hope, voice thick, that he didn't remember clearly. Blacked out, he claimed, but the evidence, the memory fragments, the shreds of recollection, convinced him something had happened. He said he was ashamed, horrified, trying now to piece together what he might have done. In that moment, Hope collapsed under the weight of revelation, not only of Luna's involvement in scandal, but of her father's transgression. Hope's emotional world shattered. She felt revulsion at the idea, loathing at her own father reduced to a figure capable of betrayal. Heartbreak at Luna's possible victimhood. Confusion over what she had said publicly and privately on Luna's behalf. Guilt flooded her. She had defended Luna fiercely when Brooke attacked her, had cast Hope herself as the champion of Luna's integrity, only now to discover the betrayal may have been real. The cognitive dissonance assaulted her. How could she have been so wrong? How much had she misjudged? How many had she wounded in the process? Poppy, Luna's mother, stormed into the battlefield. She wrapped her arms around her daughter, fierce and defensive, telling Hope, "You don't even know what happened that night." She blamed everything on alcohol. "My daughter was vulnerable. Your father was drunk," painting Deacon as a tragic figure, a prisoner of addiction and impulse. She demanded leniency, patience, counseling. She told Hope that Deacon was not a monster, just a broken man who'd made one horrifying mistake. Poppy's voice trembled but her eyes burned. She would protect Luna, but she also needed to protect her father's dignity in the public eye. Sheila, meanwhile, watched from the wings. Ruthless, cunning, ever hungry for drama, she began planting stories, leaking whispers to the press, spinning the revelation into headlines. Deacon's dark secret, Sharp crosses line with Luna, substance abuse scandal in Logan Spencer world. She cast Deacon as a victim of alcoholism, narrating he had been swayed, coerced, powerless, and now himself needed rescue. Producers at media outlets snapped it up. Headlines exploded. The scandal bubbled over into talk shows, online blogs, gossip rags. Sheila's fingerprints were all over the leaks. She had an agenda: destabilize Hope, fracture the Logan Spencer alliance, sow enough mistrust to bring down any unity. Bill Spencer smelled opportunity. He leaned into the chaos. He whispered to Liam, "Use this. Let the Devil's Brew dismantle their so-called perfect family. Let Beth come home to Spencer Publications. Away from this contamination." He pushed his narrative. Hope can't protect Beth from these influences. The scandal with Deacon shows the misery and brokenness behind that household. We need a strong roof, a clean reputation. He orchestrated press interviews, dropped ominous hints about too many secrets, painted the Logan Spencer world as fragile under the strain of scandal. His goal: unwind the alliance, drag Liam back under Spencer's wing, isolate Hope and destabilize her influence over Beth. The crescendo came when Hope finally confronted her father. In the Logan living room, bathed in late afternoon light, she demanded accountability. Tears glistened on her cheeks. "Dad, I want you to go to rehab. I want you to go public. I want you to admit what happened to Luna, to all of us, in front of the family. If you do that, I'll stand by you. I'll help you make amends. Her voice cracked. But I will not pretend this never happened. I will not protect secrets anymore. I deserve truth, and Luna deserves to hear from you. Her demand hung heavy in the room. Deacon shook. He bristled with shame, but also rage. He insisted he was not weak, not an alcoholic, not someone who lost control. He begged for privacy, for grace, for counseling first, confession later. But Hope would not bend. She said, no more shadows. No more hiding. We will gather the whole family, Steffi, Ridge, Brooke, Sheila, everyone. You will face them. You must ask Luna's forgiveness publicly. Then we decide where we go from here. It was an ultimatum, transparency or exile. Sheila, watching from the wings, sensed the shift. She inserted herself into the meeting, slipping quietly into the Logan parlor. She demanded to speak, claiming she deserved a hearing in front of the assembled family too. Ridge, Brooke, Steffi all entered one by one, drawn in by text and rumor. The air crackled. Luna stood silent, teary-eyed, Poppy crouched by her side. Liam hovered near the door, torn. The confrontation began. Hope introduced it. Deacon spoke haltingly, admitting he was ashamed, broken, pledging to try to recover memory, promising therapy and rehab. He apologized to Luna, to Hope, to the family, to the public. He asked for forgiveness. Brooke's voice trembled as she asked, is this the truth? Or another front? How do we know? Sheila stepped forward, accusing Deacon of lying about his memory and turning his defense into victimhood. Steffi accused her, you always twist stories, Sheila. Don't you dare come here and perform now. Ridge, somber, asked the hardest question, do you still love her? Or was it a one-night mistake? Deacon's eyes filled. He said, I thought I was lost. But I know now, I need help. I want to make it right. Luna trembled. Poppy wept. Hope held herself tight, watching, listening, fearing the outcome. The session ended unresolved, but a line was drawn. Publicly, the scandal was now out there. Bill's forces swirled, the media roared. Hope, exhausted and raw, sat with Liam and whispered, I thought I knew my family. But I don't know anymore. Steffi came up behind them and put an arm around Hope. You don't have to do this alone. Ridge selected a path forward. Deacon must enter rehab, under public supervision. He would be stripped of certain responsibilities until cleared. Sheila would be excluded from further Logan family gatherings until she apologized for spreading the scandalous leaks. Noon the next day, Deacon checked into a celebrated rehabilitation center, announced publicly. Hope released a statement, solemn, honest, promising to support recovery and healing. In the storm's eye, Bill's plot faltered, at least for now, because the Logan-Spencer alliance tightened around Hope, Ridge, Steffi, Poppy, and even Liam. But the scars remained. Hope had lost innocence, trust had cracked. Deacon's path to redemption would be long and painful. Luna would have to decide how much she could forgive. And Sheila was still out there, smirking, plotting her next move. Bill's influence lingered, ready to strike at the first sign of division. The battle lines were redrawn. And in the dark aftermath, Hope resolved one thing. She would not silence the truth ever again, even if it meant watching her world break apart. The headline dropped like a bomb. Deacon's sharp trust for Luna's child leaked, illicit will exposed, the tabloids cry. Deep within the Logan-Spencer world, beneath the surface of scandals and betrayals, a secret legal document now threatens to topple alliances, reputations, and private loyalty. Deacon Sharp, ashamed, haunted, desperate for redemption, had quietly drafted a will, secretly establishing a trust fund for Luna's unborn child. He vowed in private that, whatever his sins, at least this unborn life would be protected. The trust placed Deacon's assets, stocks, and real estate into a reserved fund, to be managed by a trustee he named but concealed, to ensure that Luna's baby would never want. It was his secret atonement, his hidden penance for the darkness he could never fully undo. But the world would not let it stay hidden. Somehow, someone leaked the trust documents. Perhaps Sheila, perhaps a power-hungry media insider, or someone inside Il Giardino's legal team. The leak hit the news cycles fast, and it became the scandal of the hour. Deacon's redemption or manipulation? Baby trust hidden from family. The public turned their eyes on Forrester, on Logan-Spencer, on Ridge himself. Rumors swirled. Did Deacon mean to purchase forgiveness? Was this trust a bribe? Was Luna implicated? Where did Sheila stand? Ridge Forrester, already battered by scandal, knew he had to act fast. The rumors threatened to taint his brand, his company's image. If Forrester were seen doing business with Il Giardino, or anything tied to Deacon or Luna, clients and sponsors would flee. The board would panic. Designers would distance themselves. The media would ruin what was left of their reputation. Ridge convened an emergency board meeting in his private conference room, calling in Steffi, Brooke, and the executive team. The choice was made swift and ruthless: sever all ties to Il Giardino. Cancel collaborations, scrap contracts, terminate cross-promotions. Il Giardino would become a pariah in the Forrester orbit. Any lingering commercial or promotional alliance between Forrester and Il Giardino had to be ended immediately, without explanation. The press outside smelled victory. Paparazzi queued outside Forrester's building, cameras flashing. They filmed Brooke's hesitant exit, Steffi's icy expression, Ridge's tight jaw. Forrester's public statement was crisp: no further engagements with Il Giardino. We distance ourselves from distractions that distract from artistry. But insiders knew it was more than distraction. It was damage control. At the same time, Luna felt herself crushed between impossible demands. On one side, accept the trust, accept Deacon's attempt to protect her child, accept help, even if it came from a man who betrayed her, from a family writhing with scandal. On the other side, reject the fund, maintain her dignity, refuse to let her child be an instrument of her father's redemption, refuse to give the tabloids more ammunition. She paced Il Giardino's gardens in the evenings, sleepless, wrestling with the decision. She knew that if she accepted, whispers would say the child was bought, the mother complicit. If she refused, she risked poverty, humiliation, the child's future exposed. She had no safe path. Hope watched Luna's torment with a heart splitting in two. She understood the child's innocence. She understood Luna's pride. She understood the betrayal she felt toward her father. Already, Hope's trust in Deacon was eroded by the past. But in her core, she believed children should be protected above all. So she offered, she would step in as the temporary financial guardian of Luna's child. She would oversee trust disbursements, not accepting them for Luna directly, but holding the funds in escrow until circumstances allowed Luna a dignified claim. She would block Sheila's interference. But Poppy, when confronted, pushed back fiercely. Poppy confronted Hope in Luna's apartment. Her eyes rimmed with fear and fury. "You don't know what you are getting into," she said. "You think you're protecting Luna. But if you sign your name as guardian, you open the door to forces you do not understand." She reminded Hope of a whispered, darker chapter. Many years ago, Poppy had a mysterious benefactor, a man who lavished money on her and Luna, but demanded control. He tried to dictate choices, decisions, treatments, secrets. She claimed fear. She would not see her daughter again under the thumb of a hidden patron. She accused Hope of stepping into that trap. "No, Hope, if you become guardian, you may trade one manipulator for another." Hope, stunned, felt the responsibility multiply. Then came the final twist. Brooke, reviewing the leaked trust agreement in Ridge's office, spotted a buried clause. A clause in the Guardian Powers section. If Deacon were absent, hospital, incapacitated, incarcerated, the temporary guardian would have medical veto rights over the child's health decisions. But if no guardian were present, that veto could default to the trustee's appointee. And Sheila, unscrupulous and litigious, had been named in some drafts as a backup veto party for medical decisions. In effect, if Hope became guardian but then was incapacitated or removed, Sheila could veto health decisions for the child, control over pediatric care, medical treatment, life or death judgments. The clause shocked Brooke. It meant that Hope's offer might open the door for Sheila to hold power over Luna's baby, even against Luna or Hope's will. Brooke confronted Hope in the hallway of Forrester, voice tight. "Did you see this part?" she asked, holding the document. Hope glanced, mouth parted in horror. Ridge, who had approached, looked between them and said, "We can't allow that clause to stand. This trust, if it stands as is, gives Sheila a shadow hand over the child. That is unacceptable." The irony felt bitter. Brooke, often adversarial with Hope, now stepped in to defend her integrity. But the corporate stakes forced odd alliances. Thus the war lines were drawn. Logan versus Carter versus Ridge. In a legal battle that would rattle courts and families. Sheila, hearing she had that veto clause, moved swiftly. She threatened lawsuits. She threatened to file motions to assume the guardianship herself, citing her vested interest in the child, suggesting Deacon's instability. Carter, Luna's legal counsel, threatened counter motions. Ridge's lawyers drafted emergency petitions to strike that clause as void. Brooke assisted Hope with forensic review. Steffi stood triangulating angles. Bill circled, waiting to pounce if the Logan Spencer alliance cracked. The showdown came in a high court in LA. They convened a hearing. The press packed the halls. Sheila's team presented the trust as legitimate, arguing the veto clause was a protective oversight, a safeguard. Carter's counsel argued it was unenforceable, unconscionable, contravened parental rights. Ridge's lawyers presented affidavits about Sheila's reckless manipulations, prior behavior, her motives, and the risk of granting her power. Hope testified, voice trembling. She only offered guardianship to protect the child, never to allow Sheila control. Luna cried in the gallery, Poppy steady at her side. Deacon, present but fragile, sat with shame on his face. After hours of legal back and forth, argument and counter-argument, the judge ruled, the trust's clause granting Sheila veto power over medical decisions is struck as contrary to the best interests doctrine and parental rights. The court grants Hope temporary financial guardianship, with strict oversight and limitations, and orders a full rewrite of the trust documents under supervision. Sheila's claims are dismissed, though not permanently extinguished. Deacon's name is preserved as settler, but his control is severely limited until he proves stability. In the aftermath, shockwaves ripple through the Logan Spencer world. Sheila glares from the courtroom steps, vow etched on her lips. Poppy weeps with relief for Luna but warns that war is not over. Luna, exhausted, embraces Hope, whispering gratitude and sorrow. Hope feels burdened and fragile but more resolute. Ridge stands by her, steely, already beginning damage control with Forrester. Brooke offers a hug, a silent truce in the moment. Steffi nods, solid. Deacon, shaken, promises to accept oversight, to surrender further legal rights until cleared. The trust is restructured, the clause removed. The child is protected, but the cost is enormous. Secrets laid bare, alliances tested, reputations altered forever. The war over the baby trust may appear won for now, but the battlefield shifts daily in this world of Logan, Spencer, Forrester, and Carter. And Sheila, defeated in court but undefeated in spirit, lurks still, ready to exploit any fracture. Luna may carry new hope for her child, but she also carries scars. Hope has carried hope itself, and now carries guardianship. Ridge watches, broker of security and alliances. The clocks tick. The trust is reset. But in this world, no peace is forever. And in the next storm, every hidden clause and betrayal may rise again.